Well, the Hinds County Sheriff's Office is currently under a $30 million budget right now. And as we all know, the bulk of the budget that we're currently under goes to our detention facilities. So you have to have a working relationship with the Hinds County Board of Supervisors, of course, as it relates to the budget and as it relates to whatever repairs or the necessary things that are needed for the detention facilities. At this particular point, I'm not in a position where I can say that there should be an increased budget. However, there should be ongoing communications about the budget that we're currently under and to see exactly what it is that we need to do to bring the detention facilities, first of all, up to standards in an attempt to come from under the consent decree as well. Okay, yeah, that's a very good question. I think that all tax dollars, as it relates to the Hinds County Sheriff's Office for services provided to the Sheriff's Office, should be spent within Hinds County. If there are some entities that are not within Hinds County, then of course you may have to go outside of the county. But anything else should be spent in Hinds County as it relates to uniforms, car fleets, equipment for the Hinds County Sheriff's Office as well. Now, as it relates to black businesses or who exactly get the contract, that's kind of out of the hands of the Hinds County Sheriff's Office. Of course, you know, that is something that has to be determined through the Hinds County Board of Supervisors because they are responsible for the budget. But of course, we would all like to promote black businesses and local businesses as well. But again, tax dollars regarding anything about the Hinds County Sheriff's Office, equipment, car fleet, should be spent first of all within Hinds County. Well, there was some years ago where I made a wrong decision on a call, and I was able to rectify myself from the decision that I made. The decision that I made was a use of force decision. I accepted the role that I played in it, and I rectified myself, and I was able to come back, and I was able to continue to provide services to the citizens of Hinds County as well. Well, you have to have working relationships and partnerships with other agencies outside of your local agency, meaning the Hinds County Sheriff's Office. So what you would have to do is have an open line of communication with these agencies. You would have to provide resources that you have to these agencies as well. You also need to know what type of resources these other agencies have for you as well. So when it comes to a certain task or a certain area or a need to address crime, then everyone knows exactly what this agency is doing. They would know exactly what the Hinds County Sheriff's Office is doing, Jackson Police Department, Capitol Police. That way everybody will be on the same page and everybody will have the same common goal as it relates to whatever it is that you're addressing. But again, you have to have that open line of communication between the agencies first and foremost. Well, this all pertains to community policing. Community policing is one of the 5 points that I have in my 5-point operational plan. You have to continue to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. You bridge that gap by including the community in activities regarding law enforcement. You have to assure the community that the citizens are ambassadors for the sheriff's office. You have to have transparency, you have to be upfront, you have to be honest with the citizens as well as have that open line of communications between the citizens and the sheriff's office as well. You would want to involve schools, churches in the community, nonprofit organizations in the community, and you would also need the media to be a part of this as well. Once the community sees that there is trust within your agency to them, then they will be able to open up to your agency more as well. You take violent crimes for example. the offenders and the perpetrators that are out here now currently committing the violent crimes, they're in our communities. The community and the citizens know exactly who these people are. Well, if you have that base of communication and transparency with the community, then they will feel open enough to give you the information that you need, and they will also feel like they will be protected by whatever information they give you as well. So this is a very, very important task as it relates to law enforcement and the community. The sheriff is elected by the people. The board of supervisors are elected by the people. By no means necessary does the sheriff or anyone within the sheriff's office answer to anyone outside of the sheriff's office. The sheriff answers to the people. The board of supervisors are only responsible for the budget and the detention facilities. The detention facilities belong to the board of supervisors. The sheriff is responsible for the upkeep, the security, I'm sorry, not the upkeep, the security and the day-to-day activities of the detention facilities to include the detainees. But as it relates to politics, we answer to the people, and we have no means of answering to anything else but the people. But again, you have to have that working relationship with the board of supervisors regarding your budget. But at no time, at any point, should a decision be made by the Hinds County Board of Supervisors for the Hinds County Sheriff's Office. That should be handled by the elected sheriff, him or herself. Well, the weak link in that chain at this particular point, I would say, is the court system. As you know, some of these individuals, they sit in jail because, of course, we house pretrial detainees with the Hinds County Sheriff's Office. Sometimes they sit in jail for years before they are brought to trial or before they are brought up for some type of sentencing if they decide to plead guilty. So you have to have that open line of communication with the Hinds County District Attorney's Office as well as the judges, because you want to continue to decrease the numbers in your detention facilities as well. So you have to have that open line of communication between the different entities involved in the criminal justice system. Now, of course, we don't have any say-so as it relates to when someone will go to trial or what decision will be made about the fate of the charges that they may have. But as long as you are communicating with these other entities, then you will know exactly what it is that you need to do to handle your agency as well. Now, as it relates to rehabilitation, I am completely for rehabilitation in certain instances. You know, I am about having some type of services provided to rehabilitate certain offenders. But again, this is where you have to involve the community and you have to have other stakeholders on board as it relates to that, because of course the Hinds County Sheriff's Office cannot solely rehabilitate someone, but if you have a partnership or a working relationship with other stakeholders, this is a service that you could possibly be involved in as well. There's a staff do have mental health training. Mental health training should be a top priority by any sheriff or any law enforcement head. And the reason I say that is because, of course, not all law enforcement officers are trained to deal with the mentally ill, but we do receive training on how to respond to the mentally ill. But if you have someone within your agency that's readily available that you can call on as it relates to the mental ill in your facilities, then that is an asset because you have someone there and readily available to deal with them. Now, as it relates to law enforcement officers, we have several officers that are trained in what we would consider to be crisis intervention. These individuals know how to address people that may be possibly suffering from mental illness when they may respond to a call for service or someone they may encounter during their tour of duty. But you have to keep training. There's never enough training for mentally ill. You have to have the open line of communication again with your agency and the outsourced agency that provides the training as well. That way, you will know that the people that are within your agency are up to speed, they're up to date as it relates to whatever type of training there is that may be readily available for mental health or mental illness training as well. So should be a recurring factor within your training schedule. I'm not sure if it's maybe every quarter, twice a year or whatever, but whatever is recommended, it should always be available for your staff.